Good morning, guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking all about brand deals and what makes you stand out to a brand as a creator. I know so many people are so interested in getting brand deals but never really know what is setting them apart from other creators and why they aren't being selected and all those different things. So we're going to go over that in this video. I am going to be getting ready for the day, so I'm going to be doing my makeup. I have to do skincare because my skin is so dry this winter, but brand deals are definitely one of the highest income streams for most creators, and really because depending on your audience, your influence, your engagement, and a bunch of other statistics and data, you can really charge brands for the value of your content. So what really makes creators stick out to brands, the first thing would be having a signature. So a signature could be a signature series, it could be a signature saying, it could just be anything that you are known for that people always look to you for. So for example, very demurely, very cutesy, very demure, that's very much a signature, right? So it's something that people will definitely note when they see you. They know the demure woman like the back of their hands, okay? Another example is having a signature series. So something like Nara Smith, she has her series or her content where she starts out the same every single way. So people immediately recognize her for that content. And the reason why it's so important for you to have something like a signature or even a saying in your content is because brands can easily implement themselves into what it is that you do. So the more you do your signature, the more you are going to be recognized by your audience and the more a brand is going to recognize you as a creator that stands out. Because the goal of the brand is to get their product in front of an audience with someone who has influence and also has a strong engagement with their audience. So if you have a signature series, for example, then you can implement their product into that series. So for an example, Nara Smith did a collaboration with Marc Jacobs where she baked the purse, and everyone was like, oh, that's so catchy, it's so funny, because it's something that she was already doing, and she just implemented the product in place of the actual items that she bakes in her content. So the moral of the story, it is very easy for a brand to see themselves in your content if you have a signature series. So let's say you're a fashion creator and you create a bunch of content about different outfits that you wear to different places. If your signature series are recreating the outfits from different TV shows, so recreating the outfits from Euphoria, recreating the outfits from The Nanny, recreating the outfits from Crazy Rich Asians, right? There are different ways that you can use that trend or use that series and then implement products from different brands in that content. So if you're that fashion creator and a brand comes to you and says, hey, we have these really cool sneakers, and we want you to promote those sneakers in your content, then you can say, okay, recreating the outfits from Space Jam, right? Because that's a movie, but it also incorporates the product into that series. So that's just an idea of some of the ways you can incorporate different products, but it is really easy for you to stand out to brands when you have that signature and people know you for something. Keep in mind that your series doesn't have to be a long period of time. It could be a very short period of time. So during the Olympics, I did a series on these are the things that you missed during the Olympics yesterday. And every single day I would get up and create that video, and it was essentially the Olympic news and the update that you would get every single morning. It's a really easy way for brands to implement themselves into that content, because if they are associated with the Olympics in any way, they can then be a part of that content I'm creating every single day. Now, of course, that's a very short form series because the Olympics happens for 2 weeks, every 4 years. But if you're creating another series that's around a specific theme, then you can easily incorporate that brand's product into your content. So the next thing that makes you stand out to brands is just being great at communication and also having quick responses. There have been so many times that a brand team member has told me that they just appreciate me being communicative and just reaching out and telling them, if something's going wrong, or giving them an update, or just keeping them in the loop of whatever is going on. Typically, influencers are seen as less reliable people to work with in terms of marketing because it's kind of hard to track people down. So if you are someone that is communicating all the time, that is also responding very quickly, like you're not taking weeks and weeks to respond, you get back to them within a fairly reasonable time frame, they're going to be like, wow, this person is really easy to work with, we should probably bring them on. A lot of times, and people really underestimate communication in this industry. And the reason why I say that you shouldn't underestimate it is because everything happens almost everything happens virtually. So if you are communicating with a brand team and they've never met you in real life and they don't really know who you are in person, but you seem to be responsive, you're communicating with them back and forth, you're keeping them updated on what you're working on, and you're getting, the work done very quickly, or, you just are someone that's easy to get along with, they are more likely to want to work with you because you are someone that is reliable, that they can come back to and count on for content or for whatever brand campaigns or opportunities or activations that they're working on. This really goes overlooked all the time. And I'm telling you, I have gotten many opportunities just because I have been responsive and communicative. And I'll give you a perfect example. I had a brand campaign that I needed to shoot when I lived in Delaware, and the thing was, I was working a full-time job, so I was in school and I also was working in the lab. And when I would create content, I would have to create it during the daytime, but since it was wintertime, the sun would go down faster or earlier than usual. So I had told the brand that, hey, I'm going to give you the content by end of day Tuesday, and that was, on Monday. But when Tuesday came around, something happened at work where I had to stay behind and I just could not leave to actually go shoot the content. So I messaged the brand, or I emailed them back and I said, hey, I'm so sorry. I have a work responsibility that just came up. I know it's very last minute, but I will give you the content tomorrow morning, right? So that'll mean Wednesday morning. And I did exactly what I said I was going to do. The next day, I woke up earlier than what I usually do, and I shot that content, edited it, sent it to the brand, and by the time they received it, they were honestly so surprised. I remember the person came back to me and said, oh, I saw your message last night and I didn't get a chance to respond, but then I saw the next day that you had already emailed me with the content. So different experiences like that where you are just on the ball with whatever it is that you're doing and you're communicative and you follow up with your word. Don't say you're going to do something and then never actually do it, because no one's going to want to keep working with you. So if you are someone that is reliable, that is communicative, and that you just respond quickly, like I could have said, hey, I'm going to give you the content by tomorrow, and then never delivered. And obviously that would have been really bad on my own reputation. So if you are someone that can have a positive reputation for yourself and be reliable and easy to work with, then brands are definitely going to want to keep working with you. And on that note, the third thing that I want to talk about is professionalism. And this goes so overlooked in the industry. It is kind of annoying to me in some regards, because although influencers have a lot of power and are able to have these great opportunities and also move and honestly kind of guide movements in the industry or just in pop culture in our world today, some people can be very unprofessional. And I don't mean that from the brand side, I mean that from the influencer side. And it is really, really terrible for not just you, but for other influencers when you are unprofessional. So what do I mean by unprofessional? I mean, you think the world revolves around you and that people should answer to you and just go by your schedule based on whatever it is. You have to remember that even though you technically work for yourself, you still have to work with other people who are in corporate spaces who have other people to listen to or to answer to. So even though you are an individual contractor for this brand campaign, you still have to function like you work in corporate. Why? Because the people you work with work in corporate and they have bosses that they have to answer to. So if you are giving them a hard time, they're not going to want to work with you because you're making their job harder when they can work with an influencer that is not giving them a hard time. It's really that simple. And I have heard horror stories about influencers that don't respond or they'll ghost representatives or brand reps in the middle of a campaign. They'll never post the actual content. They won't get back to them. They stop communicating entirely. That it just becomes a nightmare for brands to work with influencers because of how they carry themselves. And then also in different brand activations, I have heard of different scenarios where influencers just haven't been professional either on trips or at the activation, so at various events. It is so important that you actually are professional at all times. And yes, even if you are at an event when there is an open bar and they're saying, have whatever you want, enjoy. Don't get drunk. Don't get drunk. Would you get sloppy drunk at your corporate event? If you worked at an office and a 9 to 5, you probably wouldn't. So it's not something that you should do at an influencer event. You have to remember that you are still a public figure, and that when you are at these events or doing different things, you have to remain professional. The same rules that go for corporate spaces, which I've learned that people don't really have professionalism in corporate spaces, so I can understand why there is a little bit of confusion. But if you do not have any professionalism, you are definitely going to be overlooked for the next opportunity. So just don't do it. And the thing is about this industry, and really any industry, the longer you're in it, the more niche you become, is that you realize that everyone knows everyone. This is a small world. So if you have a bad reputation with brand number 1, you could likely be getting a bad reputation with brand number 2. A lot of people do move around and get different, they may have the same job title but under a different brand. So if you're someone that has made a bad reputation on X person, let's say, I don't know, Sarah for brand X, and then Sarah starts to work for brand Y, guess what? Now you have a bad reputation with brand Y. So you need to be professional at all times. You have to be professional at all times. And maintaining the relationship with the brand, a lot of people have a hard time with maintaining long-term relationships because of professionalism, because of their own mindset, honestly, that people think that, some opportunities are just so limited. But it really comes down to, are you someone that is easy to work with? If you're someone that's unprofessional, you are not easy to work with. That's what that means. You're not easy to work with. So be someone that's easy to work with, be professional, deliver on what it is you're going to say. If you have an issue, communicate that in a professional manner as if you were in a corporate space. Oh my God, this is the wrong contour shade. Why do I still have this? It's too dark. Let's see if I can make it work anyway. Oh my gosh, I've been using truffle this whole time, and this one was espresso. I don't know why I kept it. Maybe for my summer color. Anywho, if you are professional, if you follow through with your word, if you're a woman of your word or a person of your word, you are definitely going to be more likely to get the opportunity. Okay, just be communicative, be someone that is easy to work with, and do the things you're going to do. It's really not that hard, but it makes you stand out because people are not doing this in this industry. Okay, so the next thing, and this really goes overlooked, that people just are afraid to really speak up and say things like this in these professional settings, but you really have to know and advocate for your audience. So what does that mean? So generally, when brands will come to you for different campaign opportunities, they're like, hey, this is something that we want to post about. This is the idea. This is like the trend. This is the theme, and we're letting you have this little spin on it, but you still have to have the original theme. Anytime I have had a conversation with a brand and they want me to create content that will go on my page, I will often tell them, hey, this is what my audience responds to the most. Because as an influencer, you know your audience the best. No one can tell you what your audience is going to like or not going to like, right? You know that based on how you interact with your audience on a daily basis, which you should know because you're paying attention to your analytics, and you also are responding to your comments, and you know what your community likes, you know what they like respond to. So if a brand wants you to do something that is not going to go over well with your audience, that's where you have to speak up. And not speak up and say, I'm not doing this, but say, I know my audience really likes this type of content. So is there any way that we can kind of gel your idea with my own idea of what I know already works with them to do this campaign? There is nothing wrong with you advocating for your audience. It's the way you say it. It's not what you say. It's how you say. And that's why I talk so much about professionalism, because if you are not professional and you aren't trying to advocate for your audience, you're going to end up selling yourself short, because you'll get this check today, but your audience is going to stop engaging with your content because they don't like what you're doing whenever you want to collaborate with a brand. They start saying, oh, you act funny. Oh, now you got brand campaigns and you doing all this other content, like blah, blah. And you will notice very quickly that your engagement goes down. So what you do is, when you get those type of opportunities and the brand says, we would love for you to post this type of video, you can come back and say, I think this is a great idea. I know my audience is really interested in this type of content. So how can we gel these two ideas together to make it work really well on my page? It's that simple. It really is. And it's also not hard. So when you have these types of conversations with brands, or when they're reaching out to you about different opportunities, No, you can always offer your own ideas, but do it in a way that it actually coincides with the brand's goals. And that leads me into part 5, or the 5th thing that makes you stand out to brands, is asking the brands what are their goals for this campaign, for this activation, for whatever it is that you are involved with them in. So if they are reaching out to you for a brand deal and they're like, we want you to post this video, and you're like, well, I don't think this video is going to perform all that well on my page. You know, I want to understand what your goals are for the brand so that way I can kind of come up with ideas that will gel together really well with my audience. Most influencers are not doing this. So if you are someone that understands not only what your audience likes, how to get them engaged and how to keep them engaged, and also how to work with a brand so that you guys are both meeting your goals with that content, then you are going to be someone that people really want to work with. Because a lot of times influencers just say whatever the brand wants them to do, and then that post ends up flopping. And, you know, like, they typically don't come up with ideas that will align specifically for your audience, but they'll come up with ideas for like the broad general audience. If you can come back and say something like, hey, I know your team is really trying to gain exposure, but I think this would be a really great idea for me to do for this video. You know, let me know what feedback you have, or if this, you know, sounds like something that would work for your team. You have to be communicative in a way where you are both trying to achieve your goals, right? Your goal as an influencer is to get paid to work with a brand and to maintain a long-term partnership with that brand, hopefully, right? The brand wants their content out there. They want an influencer that is reliable. They want someone that's easy to work with, and they want to get their product out there to the audience that you have, essentially. So you guys have to work together. And if you don't understand your own audience or the goals of the brand, you're just going to be another number. Point blank, period. That's just how it goes. So you have to stand out in knowing what it is that your audience wants and know what it is that the brand wants, so you can gel both of those ideas together. It's really all about communication. It's all about understanding the people that you're working with. And it's also about being professional and getting the job done. Because at the end of the day, both of you are here to do a job. The brand's here to do a job. You're here to do a job as well. So if you are someone that can really figure out and know to a T of what is going to work well. And this doesn't happen overnight. Like, you really have to understand what it is that your audience likes about you, what it is that they respond to, not just, you know, commenting or, you know, laughing emojis or whatever, but what is it that really gets them to buy into a product? Like, what do they really like to see from you? Why did they even come to you in the first place? All those things you have to be aware of, so that when it comes time for you to work with a brand, one, you're already prepared because you already know your audience, you already know what they want, but also you can give them multiple ideas for the brand so that you guys can work together to achieve a common goal. It is very simple, but it's very difficult for most people to do. So if you're someone who has no idea how to communicate with brands, how to pitch to brands, how to really maintain those long-term partnerships, how to really get your foot in the door with brands, how to be noticed by brands, how to really start to work with them on a long-term basis, I go through this in so much detail in my creator course. And I literally give you the language on all the different phrases that you can say, all the things that you can really show to a brand to demonstrate to them that you are a valuable investment for them. Because at the end of the day, they are investing in you and they're seeking a return on their investment through your content. So for you to really be at the forefront of a brand's mind, you have to know not only the language of what it is that they're looking for, but also really understanding your audience. And like I said, I go through all of this in my course, so you guys can check it out. It's going to be linked in the description box. But those are the things that are really going to help you stick out for brands in 2025. And if you're someone that's been following me for a while, then you know that I have been talking about how the brand industry or the creator economy in general is definitely on the up and up. It's going to be increasing and doubling this year. I think it was estimated at $480 billion within the next 3 years. So there is definitely opportunity for you to partner with brands and to work with them. So there isn't a shortage, there isn't a saturation. You just have to be able to stand out and maintain those long-term relationships with those brands. So if you guys like this video, let me know by giving it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.